Right, a very good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is Elite Masterminds, where joining me today is an agent that has hit the highest level within EXP. Now, you might be going, Stuart, levels within EXP? What are the different levels that you might be referring to? Well, in EXP, I actually look at 4 different levels within EXP when it comes to our agents. Level 1 is an agent that we recognize when you actually join EXP. It's something that is extremely unique. We like to actually celebrate when somebody actually joins us, and that becomes a level 1 for me. Level 2 is when you get recognized to actually complete a transaction. It is a massive thing in your particular business. Going out, doing that hard work, and actually getting to that point where you've completed that transaction, which means that you're getting to live a life by design. We then move up to level 3. And level 3 is where you become a cap agent. Now, for those of you that may be new, you might be saying, cap agent, what is that? Well, a cap agent is where you've actually done a number of transactions, and the small portion that comes through to EXP actually goes into a bucket. It hits up to 150,000 Rand. You become a cap agent. What does it mean for you? Well, then you start to earn 100% commission less the 4% transactional fee. So you net 96% commission. So that's at a level 3. You're actually a cap agent, and it's a status that every agent wants to actually get through to. And then you get to the level 4. And level 4 is really recognized as the highest levels within EXP. You see, at level 4, you become recognized as an ICON agent. And within South Africa, we've actually now only had 2 ICON agents ever to achieve that. And joining me on the call today is our very first ICON agent that has ever happened in South Africa. He received or achieved that status last year, which is an absolutely amazing task. So welcoming me on this particular call today is Johan. Johan, how are you doing today?
Hi, good morning, Stuart and the rest of the team. I'm doing very well on this Friday. Happy it's Friday. So I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Absolutely, it's fantastic. And we all love Fridays because it is the best day, second best day, third best day, seventh best day. It doesn't matter. It is the best day of the week. Let's put it that way, because we know that we've got 2 days of potentially taking more offers, meeting more clients, or relaxing and spending time with the family. Johan, for the people that don't know who you are and what you've done, give us a bit of a high-level overview of the area that you operate, how long you've been in real estate, and how long you've been with EXP.
Thank you, Stuart. So I've been in real estate for about 22 years. Started it with Remax and worked with a couple of other of the big box real estate groups. About 2 years ago, I think about 2, 3 years ago, when I joined EXP, I moved to the west coast of South Africa, a small little fishing village, Veldrift, and this is where I operate as a real estate agent.
So when you say you're operating in Veldrift, this is not like the typical one of the big major towns or extremely high-end properties, you know, the 10, the 20, the 30, the 100 million Rand properties, or where transactions happen where an agent can sell 50 properties a month. Give us an idea of the market in Veldrift, the property sales. What is that like?
Yes, so typically, like anywhere else in South Africa, you've got every potential real estate group that's represented here, lots of mums and pops agents as well. So there's a lot of agents. So sometimes it creates a bigger problem than in bigger cities or bigger environments. What counts in our favor in, I think, the whole of the Western Cape is the semi-migration of clients from other parts of the country wanting to come down to the coast, scale down, have a bit of a different lifestyle. And then Veldrift is unique in the sense that we've got things that other places on the coast, maybe the KwaZulu-Natal or the Eastern Cape coast doesn't have. We've got all the small towns have fiber optic cables in, so very fast internet, good schools, private schools, and good healthcare as well. All that combined creates the very good reasons for people to migrate to this area. And then obviously the small town setup as opposed to city. Lots of people want to move out of the cities when they get to the second or the last stage of their lives where they want to scale down, and that sort of counts in our favor as well. Property sales, yes, we're not doing high-end sales here. Yes, we do have the up to the 5, 6, 10 million or 10 million deals, but it's mainly what we call in the real estate industry the bread and butter deals. It's almost like the Kiberga PE situation where most of the deals are 2 million and less. So compared to somebody that's in the Eastern Seaboard or in Sandton or in top end in KZN, where they would do an average of 2.5 to 3.5 mil maybe on average. So our averages are lower. And so you will have more frequent deals, but at lower end in that regard.
Absolutely, which means that you've actually got to have quite a strong diary to make sure that it is set up in a manner that allows you to meet with clients, take offers, meet with clients, take offers. Because in order to become an ICON agent, it's not just go out and sell a large property. You've actually done it the hard way. You've done it where you actually went by selling a large quantity of properties. Now, what was the quantity that you had to achieve to become an ICON agent?
I think the minimum quantity for unit sales would be just over 30 units. If I recall correctly, I did 37 units. Yeah, so it's quite a lot of work. So where somebody that would sell a 5, 6, 7 million deal and that would cap maybe with 2 or 3 deals, the amount of work, because whether you do a 500,000 Rand deal or 5 million, the work is the same. So the amount of work is just astronomical, yes.
Absolutely. So the number for the people that are out there, it's actually 35 properties, you're 137. So that's how you managed to actually exceed all of that. Now, Johan, averaging of 3 properties per month. That gives you a lot of exposures to a variety of buyers and sellers and meeting clients. If you reflect back on that journey of achieving those 37 transactions, was there any transaction that really just stood out for you that you'd love to share that experience? Something that was like, this is something unusual, or hey, this was actually something I'd love to share about. Was there anyone that really stood out for you?
Yes, I had a particular client that, just like in most real estate sales, or lots of them, where you would have a subject to, and which is not uncommon. So most of us have experience in a subject to transaction, but I had a triple subject to transaction. So people moving down here had to sell, and it was so that would buy from me subject to them selling, which they did, but it was a subject to and a subject to. So it was 4 people, 4 transactions in the row and to manage that was quite complex. Interesting, and to keep everything in line, and specifically because at moving from up country, people had to plan moving, etc. And we had to, and I handle all the other deals as well, or I was part of that. So to handle that and to make sure that everything sort of fits into it and timelines coordinate. So yes, that's very interesting, and that very stressful as well for both me and everybody in the chain.
Absolutely. We call those deal trains. And deal trains, if you're actually the agent that's part of each one of those train deals, those different compartments, well, that's happy days for yourself. But the stress elements into that, you've actually got to manage not only your own stress, because you've got the fear of a deal that falls short, but you've also got to manage the stress of the buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, and buyer, seller, plus the other agents as well. So that actually becomes something that is quite a complicated process to go through. Now, Johan, in order to get these type of deals, doing 37 transactions, they don't just come through to you on a piece of paper every single morning and say, hey, by the way, Johan, here's a deal, just sign over here. There's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes. Give us a bit of a high-level overview of what do you do in order to get new listings? What do you do in order to get those buyers and market those properties through to the buyers? What is your secret sauce that you use to do 37 transactions?
Yes, I want to just clarify, when a lot of people hear plot and plan, they immediately think of developments. And at Build Africa, people were also asking me, are you working on developments? So I don't work on developments. Developments is easy because you would get a developer that would give you a bunch of stock, 10 or 20 units, and you would sell on that. What I actually do is I go and source. I would get a seller. So I look for uh, empty plots, pieces of land, and I envision what type of property could be put onto that. And then I would go and find a client that would buy this, and with a developer or a builder, and put a building contract together. So it's I'm not a developer sales agent that you get a lot. So the work is extensive. So I would canvas just like anybody else. I would have to call, find out who's the owners, go through all the motions, list the property, and then I will have to. So I'm actually then selling. I don't sell land at all. I refuse to do that. Clients cannot buy a empty plot from me because, again, with that your remuneration would be very low. Because the plots obviously are less. So I go and put a package together. I've specialized in that. It's a lot of work. So I've surrounded myself internally with a very, very strong team. My wife, my two daughters, and my son-in-law is also involved as agents and administrative staff because there's a lot of paperwork that you generate. So I go through those motions, and then externally I've included, you have to have architects, land surveyors, developers, builders, etc. The whole rest of the conundrum to put this together, to make it work, so that in 6 or 8 months' time, you would give somebody the keys. Here's your house, as opposed to selling a second-hand house where you would just go and list it, find a buyer, and do it in 30 days, and there you go. So it is. I've trained myself. I like it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's very rewarding in the long term. So just coming back to the 37 units, I've actually done more than 37. So that was what registered, because sometimes I just had a deal that paid out a year after I've done it. So sometimes so my pipeline is quite extensive. So I've actually signed, I would say, about 45 to 50 deals in the whole year, but then they roll over. So the pipeline needs to be extensive to the tune of about 2 deals per week that I do, but they pump out over a long period of time.
And here's something that I wanted to jump at. But Johan, you're a real estate agent. A real estate agent lists a property, markets a property, sells a property, and earns commission. That's kind of like what's generalized as a real estate agent. What you're just telling me is you're actually doing more. You're actually not only just doing the basics of that, but you're also going through that whole dealing with landscapes, dealing with architects, the paperwork, going through that process, understanding that it's not just, let me list today, sell it in maybe 2 to 3 weeks, get my commission within 6 to 8 weeks. This could be a long-term journey for you, and it is a niche market. However, this is what makes you stand out as an icon agent. You're doing something different. And this difference that you're doing above all the other agents makes you stand out. Now, when you started, you mentioned that in Veldrif there is a lot of real estate agencies, little moms and pops types of stores. So there's a lot of competition. If you look at and I don't like to use the word competition, I like to use worthy rivals. If you look at your worthy rivals in the area, how many of them follow the same path as yourself? Or are they the typical real estate agents?
Fortunately for me, nobody. And I think in the country as a whole, I don't think, well, I would hope there's others. And that's part of a training series that I want to put together with you, with my agent attraction, to learn people in other areas, because they're similar in every smallish, biggish town, cities. There's an opportunity to do this. But to answer your question, no, there's nobody that's done that, because I want it to be different. Because being a real estate agent for 20 years and in your area, if you're not if you're going to keep on doing the same things, if it works, it's good, but it's good to have a niche, creating a niche for yourself, because then that other opposition or the other potential fight over business goes away. So I'm known here as the specialist. Other agents would come to me, they would refer their clients to me, and I would take over the whole process. It's so complex. And believe me, it sounds nice when you look at the money and the getting the icon status, but it's very, very stressful. It brings a whole lot of other issues in play, which a normal agent would not have. But so I like it. It's a passion. I don't want to do anything else. I'm going so far as to say that my daughters, my son-in-law, they would handle the second-hand homes. I don't even go and list them. I'm not interested. My focus and my passion is with doing what I've said now.
And that's what makes you an icon agent. And it's something that, when I speak with a lot of agents, high performing agents, I ask them, what is your niche? And for many, they can't answer that particular question. And I would strongly recommend, if you're wanting to elevate your particular game, is identify a niche, focus on it, have the passion behind it, make sure that you stand out above everybody else. And just like Johan, you have other agents coming to you. They could do it, but it sounds like too much hard work. So do they do it? No, they don't, which in essence is giving more business through to icon agents like Johan. So Johan, let's put this into a perspective so that the agents can actually understand what is a typical day in a week like for Johan. What is it that you typically do 7 days a week from Monday through to Sunday? What does that look like?
So it's important. I always count for whether I'm driving around, whether I'm property 24 is I spend a lot of time on that. So I would scout and see where's my potential listings. So in my case, it's what I do. But for anybody, that should be your primary thing. Everybody says I'm sleeping, eating, real estate or whatever it is, but you really need to do that. So that's a constant in the back of my mind when I see people, talk to people. That's what it's all about. So my day typically is to do that, because that old saying, if you control the stock, you control the market. So if you can't have a shop with empty shelves and one product on it, people would not buy from you. They would not trust you. So if you've got a lot of stock, you've got a lot of potential stock, then the perception out there to potential sellers or buyers would be, this person, the reason why he or she's got a lot of stock is they might know what they're talking about. And people want to do business with successful people. People don't want to do business with an agent in their particular area that is mediocre or is not featuring anyway. So people would be attracted to you if you've got a lot of stock. So that is my primary thing that I live and breathe for, to have stock. This, I always say, the buyers will come. I'm not a buyer agent. I'm a listing agent. I'm very strong on listings. I'm very strong on sole mandates. So obviously that comes a bit later when you've created a bit of a name for yourself, and people can see you really know what you do. They would trust you with that. But you need to focus on listings, and that's the most important thing. You can be the best closer. You can have the nicest car and the biggest, nicest presentation. If you don't have stock to sell, you're dead in the water. Then nothing else matters. So most of my day, week is that. But there's a couple of other things that one needs to do. What I've found coming specifically to a new area where there's agents that grew up in the area, they know everybody by name and the history and that. And I came in as a newcomer, somebody that doesn't know anybody and nobody knows me. So the first thing I did is I got to know my area. I made it a point that I'm the Wikipedia of this area. So I would tell you, I would know why the name is here, who was the first settlers here. I know everything about the town and the history. I've got, everybody knows that KYC, know your client. So I've got 4 acronyms that I use. The one is KYI or KYA. So I use a long acronym AXIS, and the axis that everything in my business revolves around is know your client, first your area, sorry, the A for access, know your client, the C, know your industry, the I, and know your speciality, the S. If you don't know your area, you can't be the specialist. If you don't know your clients, I've said that at Bolt, I spend a lot of time, once a client comes into my sphere of influence, I spend sometimes an hour to 2 hours with them before I would take them out. Need to know them, their needs, why they want to buy, what do they need. And lots of times I've picked this up, Stuart, where a person would click on Prop 24 on a particular property, but when I sit them down and talk to them, I say, but listen, this is not what you need. You need to actually, I want to show you a different property. I want to push you in a different direction. And that has stood me in very good. I don't waste time to take people out to multiple properties. And that's why my closing ratio is 1-on-1. If a client sits down with me and give their time to me, the chances that they don't buy from me is almost zero. Then the industry, I need to know my industry, my figures. I need to know what's happening in my industry with the PPRA, rules, regulations, HOAs, etc. So I need to know that on the fingertips. I need to train myself constantly. And then I need to know my speciality. Unfortunately, and one of the things that I've picked up with the likes of us, EXP, Keller Williams, and that way the trend is to, you could list anywhere in the country. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, but you need to specialize. Now, I've drilled it down where I've just taken 4 estates next to the sea, and I've just focused on that. I'm not even talking about the type of property. So location. So you need to specialize. You cannot be everything to everybody. So those 4 things: the area, the clients, your industry, and know your speciality, whether it's townhouses, whether it's apartments, whether it's areas, you need to specialize, and that would make you the go-to person to bring all these other things and then the accolades and the money and the success together.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, because, as a coach, it's what I go with the clients all the time. I tell them to do this. I tell them, you need to know your area. You need to know your clients. You need to know the industry. And also, what people absolutely despise is you need to work in that very close niched area. It's not a great thing to do the shotgun approach where you're hitting all over the area. You've got to actually go close. When I was an agent, what I used to do, I used to walk to my appointment from home. Now, if you have got an appointment, you don't want to be walking for 2 hours. So my appointments always used to be 10, 15 minutes walk from my home. And when a buyer used to come to me and say, hey, Stuart, where's your car? My response was always, well, I live in the area. And you can just imagine how that takes it up a particular notch. So these are absolutely valuable insights. And this is actually part of Johan's secret sauce to get it through. Being someone who's got a niche, standing out above everybody else, but more importantly, having that acronym, that access that actually gives him that high level control and understanding of his clients, his markets, everything that he does. You've got absolute clarity. Now, Johan, I know that there's times where you can actually have challenging clients, whether it's a challenging buyer, a challenging seller, or a challenging bank that doesn't want to finance everything. As an ICON agent, as Johan Nolan, do you still also get these challenges like everybody else, or all your deals straightforward and simple, sign on the dotted line?
Unfortunately not. Yes. For instance, I wanted to move into a new area recently, and because one of the industry acronym, know your industry, I did my homework. Otherwise, I would have lost and wasted so much time. Cut a long story short, the banks would not touch that particular area for various underlying reasons. So I would be able to only do cash deals there, no bank finance deals. So it's important to make sure, yes, these things, so it's not everything comes on a plate. I have to work sometimes harder. So if I say that I get a 1-to-1 closing ratio or very close to that, that means I've done a lot of background work to get to that point. It seems, when you get the accolade and people think, yes, you've been at the right place at the right time, it's because everybody wants to move down to Veldrift. That's not it. I have to sometimes work harder because of that. But yes, so you need to be adaptable, and I want to emphasize this a lot. By spending time, I've actually walked away from clients sometimes where I would say to them, after listening to everything, I'm not the right agent for you, I cannot help you, and I would refer them to somebody else in town. So I've built up a reliable contact base of other agents that I would trust the clients with, because if you refer somebody, you need to make sure who you refer them to. But it's important to be true to yourself. My client is I want to serve them. When you get to a certain level, it's not about the money anymore. It's about doing the deal. So whether I do the deal with them or somebody else does the deal with them, that's more important to me. I want to serve their interests. They want to buy. I don't have I'm not going to push them in a direction if I know that's not really in their best interest. So it all sounds very nice and that, but if you do that, it comes back to you in a very positive way, because people can see through that. And then when they refer, I get lots of referrals as well because of that, where people would say, listen, I went to that guy, he couldn't help me, Johan. He sent me to somebody else help me. And because of that, he could have sold me this or sold me that, but he didn't. And he actually gave me what I wanted, not what he wanted. He wasn't commission driven. So yeah, unfortunately, you get very difficult clients. I always say they've got a Porsche taste, but a Volkswagen budget. And you have to accommodate that. So you have to be adaptable. You have to remember, we work with emotions, people's emotions. Buying a house, selling a house, that's one of the most important decisions that they've made. Now, moving from a different province, it's even worse. They don't know everybody or anybody here. And so you need to take all that in account and to manage. I always say we actually are not real estate agents. We like psychologists, we coaches in other things. So if you take people seriously, if you really look at the person that you're working with and see what you can do for them, then you will get what you want, and that's ultimately the commission. But so my focus is, I'm just sitting and I focus on them. What is the best for them at that particular stage, time, and if I do that, everybody's happy. And then the other thing sort of moves out of the way. My clients become my friends. All my clients, I'm on a very good basis with them. And yes, you cannot keep everybody happy all the time, but then you manage it. I always say bad news needs to travel faster than good news, and you get that. But some people you can never keep happy, but you try your best, and that's all you can do.
So the big summarize that I'm actually getting from yourself, Johan, is one, you've got this speciality and this niche. Two, you actually go that extra mile to understand your clients, their wants and their needs. It's not about the money that goes into your pocket, because that comes later. It's about their wants, their needs. And actually, what most agents fail to do, actively listen. I've seen so many agents that don't actively listen, they actively talk. And what happens? They take people to properties that the buyer is not interested. Now, I've got a question for you that I want to just round up our session with. There's actually two final questions. And the first question is, in many cases, you are actually selling a vision. You're not selling something that's tangible. What type of secret have you got that you can able to gain clarity for that client to see that vision? What is it that you do so that they can go, you know what, Johan, I love the position. And with architects, landscapes, I can see this vision. I can believe it. This is it. This is going forward. What is that little secret sauce that you do to make sure that your clients can see that vision that you're actually putting in front of them?
That's very important. So I spend money on each property that I've ever sold to take professional videos, photos, and the plans with it. So I've got a little presentation or lots of presentations on that. So if a client has got a particular budget or need 3 beds, 2 baths, or a 2 bed, 2 baths, or whatever the need might be, I would then go through my library and I would say, listen, so look at these. Then sometimes there might be properties that's under construction in various stages, and then I would take them there by appointment and show them something similar to what they've got, or something that's about to be handed over by the builders to the owners. But I make sure that I keep a library of all the history of other properties so that they can see walkthrough videos, photos, the plans. And that is how I do that, because people want to see something tangible. And so I've also sort of drilled it down to, we don't do like a million different types of options. So because of the price point, they differ slightly, but it's almost the same. So I'm in a fortunate position that I would be able to show a new client something that's in the making. You know, it's in the oven. It's being built. It's almost at the stage of handing over. It's got the tiles and the sanitary ware in it. It's been painted. The ceilings are in. The lights are busy being put in. So I'm in a fortunate position in that regard. But it sometimes happens over Christmas, New Year's, where the builders holiday starts, and most properties would then be handed over by the 15th. And then there's sometimes a time where there's nothing to show, and then you have to rely on other methods. It's almost the same if you would list a second-hand property and you cannot get access to the house for various reasons. People might be sick, or it might just not be convenient. What would you do then? You would need to then make sure that you have videos, photos, etc., to show the client and know the property very well, that you can run them through and show them the property without actually seeing it on the site.
Absolutely. So having that library is so important because it's creating the vision. As you said, to speak a vision is very difficult. To show a vision becomes a lot clearer. And going through this library of past properties, properties that are in the building phases, you can actually take them through to fulfill all of that. Now, as a coach, one thing that I have really come to believe is productivity is driven by priority and purpose. And we know that in order to become an ICON agent, you've got to get to the highest level of productivity. You know, you've got to exceed 35 transactions in that given period. So my question to you is the priority. What do you focus on? And the purpose. Why? Why do you focus on that? So what is that priority that you focus on? And I know you said listings, but is there anything else that you have as a priority that you focus on?
I'm in a good position that, like I mentioned before, the family's involved as well. So my wife of 38 years, Annalene, is a crucial part of this. I said that it built, and I think a lot of people were shocked. I don't do my listings. I don't know how to load it on Rep. I just don't know. So I've got the mindset that something that it's important to do listings, but I pay somebody else to get it done. My focus is more on other things, which I'm good at. You can't do everything. I mean, it's impossible to do 35 deals and do it by yourself. It's just, it would not happen. So admin and the support is very important. Otherwise, you would not make that. I would say managing clients' expectations, that's the other big part of my business. Whether it's, just before the meeting, I found a client that's coming up on PropCon birthday and that. So I would say listings to get the stock, Now, once you've got the buyer stock in, that's important to massage that, to manage it, whether they've already signed up with you, whether they're still going to, whether they're in the process. It's important to manage people's expectations, because we should not forget that, getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, it becomes very mundane. It's a client, it's an OTP and that, but we work with people, it's emotions, and we're all different. So it's very important to manage expectations, to communicate with them regularly, and not wait until they push you for information. And we've got all the tools, AI and all those things that we can do, but still nothing can beat that personal thing, the call or the visit, or say, listen, come to a site, see how far the place has progressed, etc. So I would say first it's the listing, to getting the stock, and then when you've acquired your buyer, or you're in the process of the buyer, wherever they might be in that process, is to manage them, those expectations, because then you've got both sides covered. You've got stock always coming in, and then the people that you're working to put into contact with that stock, to marriage the two. If you do that, then I think you're pretty much there.
And why? Why do all of this, Johan?
Oh,
Why go the extra mile? Why do the niche? Why do this?
Stuart, yeah, and and I must be honest. People would say, yeah, it's because now you're an ICON agent, you're making a lot of money. It's easy to talk when you've got money, and I don't even have a deal on my table now. I've done it before I even made the money. That was my attitude, my mindset, and your mindset should be correct. My favorite programs on TV is anything to do with property. All these property things, I love it. It's just in me. That's what I live for. So I know it's a cliche. People say, "Oh, I live and eat and breathe and sleep." This is really, if I would watch nothing else. Annalene would say to me, "Oh no, not that again. Not listing Josie or that." And whether it's in America, whether it's something that's not even related to us, I just love properties. I love everything to do with properties. That's what I live for. So I do it definitely not for the money, because sometimes I think I must be crazy to get on this horse every day. But it's a passion. It's really, I like property, the whole intricacy of it, and the more difficult it is, I love that. And people pick this up. If you handle, and specifically real estate, when I used to have big teams and worked in Dubai and had 35 nationalities, I would say to people, don't treat this job as something you do until you get a real job. You need to be serious about this. And that's why, unfortunately, clients, the public out there, are not taking us seriously sometimes. It's because agents don't treat themselves seriously. You need to know that this is your plan A. There's no plan B, C, D, and that you want to do this. You live for doing it, and people pick this up. And then it gets a life of its own, and you don't have to ask people to do business with you. They want to do business with you, and they'll bring other people to do business with you, because they just pick up on that energy, that positiveness, and your real commitment to help them and get them the best deal possible. And that's I can't say anything else besides that.
No, fantastic, Johan, and thank you for your time. We know that you are extremely busy. The way you're dealing with your particular clients, and the extra mile, well, actually, the extra distance, which is probably 10 times the extra mile that you go to actually deliver that high quality service to your particular clients, to make sure it's not about the money. It's about offering that high level of value and service to your clients, so that they will remember you, and ultimately, as you said, become your friends, because that's how you start to build that sphere of influence. Johan, any final words or comments from yourself before we close up on the session?
I just wanted to say to people, and I said that at Build Africa as well, I'm not special. Yes, I'm very passionate in what I do, but anybody can do this. It's a couple of basics, fundamentals that you just have to apply. You can do it wherever you're situated in the country. You've got my number. If you're part of Steve's group, you would see me on that. Reach out. When I've got time, I'll help you. I'll give you a bit of insights. I love that. Doesn't matter where you are. I would quickly go and check and see your area, your listings and that, and I'll give you some advice. I love giving advice. So if you need advice, reach out. But the bottom line is everybody can do it. I'm not special. If you were built, you would have heard my story, how I got here. I've lost everything. So I'm not special. Anybody can do it, but you have to apply these things and you have to work harder than everybody else in the room. You don't need to be the smartest. No, a lot of people say if you're the smartest in the room, you need to work harder than everybody else in the room. If you do that and you apply access acronyms, and if you didn't have time to write it down, you can WhatsApp me and I'll send it to you, or Stuart can do whatever. But just put the effort in, the results will follow, guaranteed.
Oh, fantastic. Johan, again, a huge thank you. So Johan Nolan, here we go. Here with all the names. Johan Nolan, the ICON agent. I was just trying to put Nolan and ICON as one word, but it just didn't work that way. So Johan Nolan, the ICON agent, the very first ICON agent for us here in EXP South Africa. So Johan, I want to thank you again for your time, your insights, and all that information that you've actually shared with all of us. It is truly inspirational for people to actually go, hey, I can actually do this. And absolutely you can. So from myself, Stuart, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on to this particular session. Look out for more sessions that are coming out with our CAP agents, as well as other ICON agents that have actually achieved the status. So from myself, Stuart, you have a fantastic day further. Cheers for now.